Hello, welcome to the channel. This video is about relative clauses. Let's get started. Today, we talk about non-defining relative clauses. Let's take a look how many different areas we have to take care about. There are 4 areas we have to take care about. The first one is talking about the usage of relative pronouns whose and whom. Second, putting a comma before a non-defining relative clauses. And also, never use commas with defining clauses. And the last one, we do not use relative pronouns that in non-defining relative clauses. So, first of all, we talk about what is non-defining relative clauses. Let's take a look at the following examples. People use non-defining relative clauses, also called non-identifying relative clauses, to provide more information. Now, unlike defining relative clauses, information in a non-defining clauses is not important. If we remove it, the sentence will still make sense. Example: David, who is a really nice guy, is the best student in the team. Now, it equivalents to David is the best student in the team, and by the way, he's a nice guy. Another example: the bike, which was red, crashed into a tree. Now, you can see, for people we use who. For things or animal we use which. Then, how about for possessions and for objects? Let's take a look. For people, we use whose for possessions. And for objects of verbs or prepositions, we use whom in the non-defining relative clauses. Example: Stephen, whose father is also very cheerful. Stephen's father. So, Stephen, whose father is also very cheerful, is telling more about Stephen's belongings, Stephen's possessions. Is the best student in the team. Stanley, with whom I go to school, is a very nice person. So, I go to school with Stanley. So, with whom is actually what we means of objects of verbs or prepositions. So you can see, using non-defining relative clauses in a sentence, we use a comma. If the relative clauses in the middle of a sentence, at the beginning of the relative clauses, we have a comma. And also, at the end of it, we also put a comma. Let's take a look at this example. People always place a comma before a non-defining relative clause. When the non-defining relative clause is in the middle of a sentence, we also put a comma after it. Example: Hong Kong Marathon. The Hong Kong Marathon, which takes place in February each year, and you can see, before the relative clauses, we have a comma. After it, we also have another. It's one of the important sporting events in the city. We remind you guys that every time we use a non-defining relative clauses in a sentence, we have to put comma. If it is at the end, the relative clauses is putting at the end, then a comma is putting in front of the relative clauses. But in the middle, then we put a comma before the relative clauses as well as at the end of the relative clauses. Now, let's take a look at the third point. We always use commas with non-defining clauses. We never use a comma with defining clauses. Because if we forget the commas in a non-defining clauses, the meaning will change. Example: the Hong Kong Marathon, which or that takes place in February, is a big sporting event. If you do not have a comma before the relative clauses, the meaning will be slightly different. There is more than one Hong Kong Marathon. Only one in February is a big sporting event. And the last one, about the usage of the relative pronoun that. Let's take a look. We do not use the relative pronoun that in non-defining relative clauses. The car that was blue crashed into a tree. It is a wrong sentence. If we are using non-defining relative clauses, we have to change the word that to become which. Okay, that's all for today. Like this video and subscribe to our channel. See you next time. Goodbye.